So I am on location today. I'm at the Sheets 96th Street office, which is pretty fun. And I'm in their little recording room, which is awesome. But I stand, so it wasn't quite ready for a stander in here. So I don't have the best backdrop, but we'll take it. So I'm excited all of you guys are here, and I kind of want to give you an update of what we're going to do over the next 2 weeks.
Recording in progress.
I had an idea of where I wanted to go, and then I needed a gut check from someone, and I got it. And we decided that the very place to go is back to like middle school economics. We're going to go back to the very basics, okay? Because this stuff is so important. I was not an econ person, okay? So when I hear economic people talk, it kind of goes in one ear and out the other ear, blah, 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 right? Throw me an electronic hands up if that's you also, just so I have an idea of what kind of group I've got on here. If you guys like this stuff or if it's like, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, okay. A lot of you. So that's my intention, right? You can go all these places and listen to all these big-minded people talk about this stuff anytime. However, I'm going to bring it down to how I like to talk about it, right? Very simplified, and then how I'm going to teach you guys to talk to your clients about it. Okay, so we're going to do this over the next 2 weeks. I want you guys to dig in. Okay, if you have questions, this is the time. If it's not making sense to you, right, we don't get that chance to stop our economists and say, hold on, what are you even talking about there, right? Here you can. And I want you guys to do that. Okay, so use this as a safe space to ask any of these questions that you guys have had as far as the market. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to put in the chat box for you guys, I finally have a spot that I'm going to be putting recordings. I'll have the PowerPoint for this when it's finished, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so it's called Linktree. It's linktr.ee, and you just slash Julie Downey. Okay, so that's going to kind of be my online space to gather all this stuff. So whenever you guys need things, it'll get going. Okay, script book will be in there, all that kind of stuff. So just bookmark it now, and then when things are in there, I'll let you guys know. Okay, I'm going to keep my chat open here. Okay, so now let me get into my PowerPoint and then I'm going to share a screen. So I do have a PowerPoint this morning, so hopefully those of you guys who are driving and stuff, you can see. If not, make sure you get to me and I'm happy to send any recordings afterwards. Okay? All right, gang. So throw your digital hands up, stop me, chat, whatever. If you see somebody else and I'm missing it because my screen's busy, let me know. Okay? So what we're going to talk about today, right? What you need to know, where you can go to get these tools, and most importantly, how you can talk about it and advise your clients based on the information we're going to talk about here. Okay? We will probably get into advising clients next week. So just FYI, today it's going to be a little bit more learning and understanding, and then we're going to jump into the specific housing data, and then we'll get into how to talk about it all. Okay, so just hang with me. Uh-oh, all right, there I go. All right, so what are the big things that are happening in real estate right now? Hopefully you guys are hearing these buzzwords, right? Everybody's got an eye on interest rates, right? All the time watching interest rates. A lot of you that came into the market less than 2 years ago, you have only sold with low interest rates. So this is a real challenge for some of you to figure out how to even talk about a 7% interest rate. Okay? The other buzzword in real estate right now is affordability, right? If all these houses keep increasing, how are we going to make sure that people can buy houses, right? Housing, building generational wealth is so important for the US economy, right? So that's what we want to make sure happens, okay? That's what everybody's watching, keeping an eye on, worried about, and needing all this data for, okay? To watch affordability. The other buzzword right now is inventory, right? We have low inventory right now. And we're going to talk about what that means, how it affects your clients, what they're doing to change it, what the real story is. So that's an interesting thing too, right? There's a lot of chatter about low inventory, but if you truly look at the numbers, we're kind of evening back out. They're doing everything they need to get us back. Okay, and then the final one, right? This is all your buyers and all your sellers are asking right now. Should I stay or should I go? Should I buy or should I not, right? Should I sell or should I not? So we're going to get to that point too. Sound good? Okay, so here's what we're going to get into, all right? What the government does to determine interest rates, okay? We're going to talk about Fed rate versus interest rates. You hear lenders talk about this all the time, and it seems so simple to them and just, blah, 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 right? But until it gets down into those really simple terms, it's not as easy to understand, and especially when all you're hearing is the news and that's all they're talking about, right? We're going to dig into appreciation. Okay, appreciation is different from inflation because appreciation is houses. That's just specifically referring to the price of the homes and what they're doing. How much are your homes making you? Whereas inflation is how much you're paying for goods, right? How much you're going out and paying for your groceries, how much you're paying. I'm going to use refrigerator a lot as my example in this. So how much you're paying for a refrigerator, right? We are not paying the same amount that we did in 1950 for bread, for any of that kind of stuff, right? That's inflation. Okay, and then of course, what's that create for us? A buyer's or seller's market. How do you know it, right? You guys hear us, it's a seller's market, seller's market, seller's market, right? But why do we say that? What does it mean? Where are we going? All that kind of stuff. And then of course, finally, how to talk about it. Okay, so before I go farther, I want you guys to tell me if there's anything I'm missing so I can make sure we hit it next week. Anything you guys want me to cover when talking about the market that isn't on here? Anyone? You guys think I got it? Okay, awesome. If you think of things as we go, don't hesitate to speak up. All right, let's start with the Federal Reserve and what it does. Okay, so the Federal Reserve is like the boss of the money in our country. Okay, so we're just going to use that, the boss, right? The boss. So, what the boss is responsible for is to encourage job growth, which is going to sound completely counterintuitive sometimes as we talk about this stuff. Okay, but the second side of it is that they have to maintain inflation, maintain prices going up. Okay, so now I'm going to stop share for a second. I'm just going to talk to you guys about this. Okay, so the Fed, here's what happens. All right, so I'm going to use refrigerators as my example for this one. Okay, so people are working, right? Lots of people are out working right now. We have a very low unemployment rate. So if more people are working and able to increase their income periodically, right? Because it's going up, then lots of these people maybe that needed to replace their refrigerator and wouldn't have now can. Okay, so they can either upgrade their refrigerator, they can move one to the garage. Now they could just, fix it. Maybe now they just need the person to come out and fix it. And maybe 6 months ago, when they didn't have a job, when they were making less, they couldn't do that. They were living with the fridge as it is, right? Now they have more money, and now they're going to do those things. Okay. So now, let's say the refrigerator company, GE, is used to making 50,000 refrigerators a day. Okay, I don't have any idea. I think it's way, 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 way more than that. But let's say 50,000 refrigerators a day. And now we have 2% of the population, just a few people that are making more money and now can improve their refrigerator, right? This is more than normal. Well, now GE has to figure out how to make more refrigerators to supply the demand of all these extra people who have more money now, right? And can buy their refrigerator. You guys with me? Okay. So now you're GE and you're sitting there at GE and you're saying, how in the world do we figure out how to make 5,000 more refrigerators a day for all these people that need these refrigerators all of a sudden? Or now in the economy, right? So now GE has to go to their parts person and say, hey, I got to buy this many more parts from you every day in order to make this. The parts person now has to find more steel, right? The GE now has to go employ more people to make these refrigerators, right? So they have to, now their expenses are going up to keep up with these refrigerators, right? And then the price of the refrigerator has to go up because now GE's in the hole. Now GE's spending more to sell these refrigerators. Now they have to increase the price of the refrigerator. Okay? And so goes the cycle. Okay? So the boss is watching this all the time, right? They're watching, are people buying refrigerators? Are more people buying refrigerators? What are they willing to pay for these refrigerators now that GE is having to increase the price? Can they afford the refrigerators now that GE has increased the price? Okay, so that's the Fed's job, is to watch all of this from a high level in order to keep everything moving at a nice, even keel, right? Even in our businesses, that's what we want, that nice increase all the time, right? Nobody wants these. And that's the boss doesn't either, right? Because think of the lives it impacts when our US economy does this, right? And imagine that being your job. Woo! Don't want to be the Federal Reserve, that's for sure. Okay, so let's just stop right there. And does anyone have questions on that super simplistic example on my refrigerators of kind of the overall economy and how it works? Good, I love that. All right, so now let's go back into the PowerPoint. Okay, so what they're trying to do is maintain things so that not too many people can buy refrigerators to push this demand and these prices up. Okay, and so the way they do that is by watching how much money people have to spend and how much they're paying to borrow things. Okay, the rates affect both of these. This is the way they can do it, okay, is by managing these rates. So the rest of the stuff they watch, the rates they can actually do something about. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Uh-oh, I gotta get on my other sheet here. And you guys, I don't know what time it is because my screen, so somebody just wave at me when we're getting to like 8:25 or something. Or 8:55, sorry. All right, so here's what the Federal Reserve watches, okay? And because, like we just said, okay, so now people are paying more money for these refrigerators. They're paying, and the economy goes, we can't keep up with this. We have to make money more expensive. Okay, so they can go out and they can buy this refrigerator and they can maybe even borrow, right? They can do a 12 months same as cash and we're giving it to them for free. Whereas if maybe we made them pay 3%, some of these people now couldn't afford the refrigerators again. Okay? So that's how they do this. If they make it more expensive for us to do things, it brings that inflation down, right? So it reduces the amount of people now that can afford their refrigerator. Okay? So what this means in really simple terms, if people are spending money, the rates are going to go up. If people aren't spending money, if they're scared, if they're out of money, if the consumer confidence is down, the rates are going to go down. Okay? So that's the simplest thing you guys got to know. So here's what I love, right? Lots of buyers are saying, oh my gosh, the rates are high, the rates are high, right? And your response should be, I know, isn't that awesome? Because guys, if the rates are high, that means the economy is kicking. That means people have more money than they normally do, right? It means they're out there spending money. This is why our prices are going up on houses. So I think one thing is if we can get buyers to understand their role in this real estate machine, right, then maybe they'll help us all. They've got to understand high rates are really, really, really positive for our country. When we see rates at 3 again, gang, oh, we're coming out of a pandemic, right? It's a nightmare. Everything could not be worse for us if we see rates again at 3%, right? So was that awesome? Did we take advantage? All that kind of stuff? Absolutely, right? But you got to remember, if people are spending money, the rates are higher because they can afford it and because it slows inflation.
It
Okay?
slows inflation.
Yep. You hear that? Connie, did you have any questions on it?
Oh, sorry about that. I was just mentally thinking about how our government loves to spend our tax dollars on stupid things. And I think that's why our inflation is actually going up. But that's
Well, it's
another
interesting.
conversation.
So one of the places you guys can go is to Lawrence Yun. Okay, so I'm going to give you places through this whole thing. So keep writing this stuff down. National Association of Realtors is amazing. They have an entire research and statistics section. Okay, you want these graphs, you want explanation, go there. That's the best place for the national stuff. Lawrence Yun, he is hired by the National Association of Realtors. He's the chief economist for the NAR. He is so important because he is who reports back to the Fed on housing. Okay, so there is no one that understands this more than Lawrence Yun, and he's who you guys on this screen, have hired to make sure the Fed understands what's happening in housing. Okay, and Lawrence has a slide exactly about that, Connie. Exactly about the tax money going out and the amount of money coming in, the debt and the tax coming in, and how that is separating. So, really good point. And you can go see a slide specifically about that at NAR. Good. Okay, so here's the things they're going to watch to find out, are people spending money? Okay, are they spending money? Should rates go up? Or are they not spending money and rates need to go down? Okay. The health of the economy, right? Just are they spending? We're going to look at that. Unemployment. How many people have jobs? Are companies hiring? Are wages going up or are wages going down? Okay. If people are working, if more people are working, more people have money to spend. Inflation, right? We talked about that. How much are goods going up? The Fed wants a target of 2% year over year. That's an important, simple little number, right? 2% year over year. 17% is what we've inflated during the pandemic, since the pandemic. Okay, that's a
Okay,
lot. We're
that's a
way out
lot.
of whack right now. Okay, wages and income, we talked about that, right? If people are making more money, their rates are going to get higher, and then consumer spending and confidence. Okay, that's why you hear these buzzwords when you hear people talking about interest rates. Okay, so if you've ever wondered why in the heck do we care about all this when we just want to know about interest rates, that's why. Okay, so I'm going to stop share real quick and I want you guys to ask any questions. I know it's super simple, but I want you guys to feel comfortable to ask questions if you have them. Is everyone following? People I can see are. Okay, anyone have any question? Okay, cool. Let me
I
set.
have a quick question.
Yes, please.
So that's certainly, I understand that, but the objection that I would hear, I'm sure, and I do hear from clients is, but so I don't care about that. What about my monthly payment? I mean, the
Sure.
higher rates are gonna, so, how do you overcome that objection?
I'm going to tell you how. Okay. So, in
You marry
simple
the house
terms,
and you date the rate,
well,
I would
yeah,
imagine.
right. And I'm going to show you a slide in just a minute that shows the historical rates over time. Okay. And so you're right. It's a matter of I care about my monthly payment. Well, you know what? Unfortunately, that's the gauge, right? If you now can't afford it or are going to be house poor, that's what the Fed wants. They need you to kind of step out of the market, right? Pull our demand down. That's why they're raising rates. Okay, does that make sense, John? So even though they care about their monthly dollar, that's exactly the question you say, yeah, you're right. And does that make you uncomfortable? Okay, so let's talk about two things. Let's talk about the potential future of rates and then your options, right? If they go up, if they go down, then what would you do, right? And let's look at what you're earning on the house over time. Okay, because buying is a lot more about your monthly payment, right? It's about earning money off of your investment. Did that help a little bit? Okay, and then I'm going to actually show you what you can show your buyers to tell this story. Okay, showing is everything, gang. I know you hear me say it all the time. You can tell them, but until you show them, it's different. Okay, good question, John. What else, gang? I know there's got to be more on here. All right, I'm going to consider us good. Okay, so back to sharing screen. All right. Okay, so now we're going to get into some of these charts and graphs. Okay, so we're going to start with our first question. Are people spending money? Are they buying things? Okay, now remember what my hand did. That's the goal in all this stuff, right? If houses are doing what they should, it goes woo. If rates are doing what they should, it goes woo, right? This is what we want. So as you glance at all of these things, it's really easy to tell, are we on or are we off? Okay? So this first one, more recent is always going to be on the left. Historical is going to be on the right. Okay? So this July to July, are people spending at an increase? Yes, spending's going up, right? We got a little out of whack here. This was a huge jump, right? From 2020 to 2021, right? That's when rates were so low, and then they started going, oh God, people are spending too much, too much, too much. We got to lower rate, or we got to increase rates, okay? We got to slow them down. And they did, and it worked. Okay. Now, historically, always important to look at over time, right? Because again, we want that normal, right? Just rise. So in the 25 years from 1990 to 2023, we're doing what we should, right? Why did rates drop to 3? Boom. That right there. That was a total fluke. Total fluke. That was a pandemic. Okay? And that's what you have to remind people of. That was a totally unique thing that we have no idea is coming again. Had we skipped that, look, we're right back on track. Okay? So, important. Consumer spending. Where do you want to go to see what's happening for consumer spending? Gang, just Google it. Okay, it's the easiest thing to do, and it's going to send you to the best ones. Here's what I do. I say Google consumer spending for August 2023, and then I hit images. And it's going to show you the images that'll work best for what you need to talk about. Okay, awesome. I'm going to give you lots of other places to go, but simple as this, if you need to find some stuff between now and next week, just Google it. Okay? Now, let's look at the unemployment rate. So we know people are spending, which means the unemployment rate's probably low, right? We probably have lots of people working. And so let's look at what's happening, right? We want the unemployment to go down right now, okay? Look at what's happening. Okay, so this is August to August in the last 2 years. Right? We started going down. They were like, too much, right? Let's go back up. So they're just trying to figure this stuff out and get the balance. Okay? Unemployment rate. This is something you want a straight line. You want to kind of even out unemployment. Okay? You don't really want it to go like this because, of course, that's the first driver of all of this is unemployment. However, it's real hard to control, and it's going to go bloop, 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 bloop all the time. So this is the one constantly changing that's going to affect everything else. Okay? That's why you hear people talk about the unemployment rate. All right, let's look at, okay. So here's a good one for you guys. Okay. So remember we talked about inflation, the cost of goods, right? And then we want to compare that with the mortgage rate because the rate is how they control all of this stuff. Yep. John? Oh, thank you. 5 minutes. He's awesome. Okay, so we're going to do this one and then we'll stop and let you guys ask any questions. Okay, so here's what's important about this one, right? Inflation goes up. Where do the interest rates go? Up. Inflation comes down because they raise. Oh, sorry. Let me go back. Inflation comes down because they raise the interest rates. And what happens to the rates? They come down. Okay, now let's look at what's happened recently. We've gone up, we've gone up, we've gone up. It's following up, up, up. Now, rates are starting to come down, right? That's why, or inflation is starting to come down. Here we were at 17%. Things are starting to get less expensive, slower and slower. You guys might be feeling that, right? Hopefully it'll cost us less to go out to eat. Taylor Swift may not be able to sell out every place at $3,000 a ticket, right? That tells you the economy is good and that rates are going high. Tell people stop buying Taylor Swift tickets and we might get better rates. But anyways, truly, we've got the inflation starting to come back down. And so, I keep clicking. It is likely that's why everyone's saying the mortgage rates will follow, just because it's what it does, right? Now, it doesn't mean every single time the inflation dips, mortgage rates dip just as low, right? But it follows the same general pattern, okay? Here's the last one I want to show you guys because it's important as you go into this week. Here is the 30-year fixed rate from April 1971, which is when Fannie Mae started tracking this number, until today. Okay, again, we'd like to have kind of an even rate, right? We'd like the Fed to find the amount that will just kind of even things out if possible and continue to let things go slowly. That number over 52 years is 7.7. We're not there yet. Okay, so again, your buyers, I'm going to stop share here. Your buyers that are concerned about the rate, if you show them that, how might likely that change their buying decision? Because if you ask me, if 7.7 is where we might end up, if it's below that at all, they probably want to take advantage because that's a low rate. Okay? All right. Questions, comments, things I'm missing or you need more clarity on for next week? I did good. Tammy, do you have a question? No? Okay. So how many of you feel like you understand this stuff a tad better now? Good, 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 good. I don't want it to be too simple that you guys are bored. So good. I'm glad you guys are understanding this. So where are we going to go from here? Okay, so we're understanding what the nation looks like. Next step is what's housing doing? What are we watching in housing? And the third step is now how do we talk about that? How do we use that information to help our buyers and sellers make decisions in this market? Okay, so stay with me. You can always ask for the recordings. Hopefully I'll see you guys next week as well. If we don't get further, we'll take a third week. I have no problem doing that. And then we'll get you guys really, really understanding this market and how to talk about it. Okay, you guys are awesome. Go have an amazing week.
Julie, can I
Bye,
ask you
Julie.
a last minute question?
Of course.
Okay, what's hard for me to understand when you talk about, oh, spending is up, so that's good. Well, we're not talking about groceries and gas prices, 'cause that isn't good in my mind. But are you talking about spending?
What do you mean? What's not good about gas prices and groceries?
When there's so much inflation on the cost to eat, and people are always talking about that. When you talk about spending, are you talking about buying stuff like the refrigerators
All of it.
and
Gas and food also.
all that stuff? But
All
all
that
you
stuff.
hear
So
is
here's what happens,
how
Susan,
unaffordable it
because,
is. Yeah.
huh?
I mean, all I hear is how unaffordable everything is.
Yeah, because
So,
inflation is out of whack.
okay.
right? So we're paying way too much for bread right now
Mhm.
because inflation's gone crazy. So what are they doing? Raising the rates so bread can come back down.
Okay. Got ya. Thank
Okay?
you.
Yes, so it's about everything you buy. Taylor Swift tickets included, right? The more people, I seriously mean that, the more people that can spend an outrageous amount of money on concert tickets, the higher these rates can go. If we can afford it and spend it, then you can afford it. You can pay more to borrow money. Okay, does that help?
Yes. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. Thanks for asking the questions, guys, because I don't know where I need to explain more.
Julie, my question with that is, how does that relate to credit though? Because we know that people can put everything on credit. I can afford Taylor Swift if I have a credit card, right?
Yeah, right.
So
And
how,
that is a huge issue. Yeah. And the hopes is that if your rates, okay, so I might have skipped that slide actually, you guys. I'm so sorry. But the Fed controls the Fed rate, which is the rate which banks loan money to each other.
yes.
Okay. And then the interest rate is what we as consumers pay. So that's what they upcharge the Fed rate to us as consumers.
Mhm.
Okay. So ask your question again.
Me, Jessica?
Yes. Hmm.
Yes. So what about credit? Because people can afford a lot more when they
Right.
have access to a lot of credit.
Yeah. And what happens is you start getting denied for it,
Yeah.
right? You start not getting approvals anymore. So when I started college, anyone could get a credit card, right? And then it got harder to get a credit card.
Exactly.
So that's
Exactly.
exactly what happens. Cars, right? Same thing. Car rates go up. You can't now afford the car you might have been able to. How many people are slowing on buying cars now?
Well, and that's the thing, people living beyond their means.
Yeah.
And understanding that. So I see, maybe John said this too. I guess for me is, and I don't know if he will touch on this next week. It's about how we're talking to people. But if we're not having, I'm not super active right now, so I'm trying to think of how am I talking to my so-called audience and so-called hopefully future clients about this.
Yes.
Talking to them.
Okay. That's a great question. We're going to jump off. Yes, I'm going to get into that in detail, Jessica, but for now, to give you guys a how. Social media is your number one platform, right? Talk about it. Send an economic update once a month to everyone in your sphere via email,
Okay.
right? Call them, ask them, what questions do you have about the market? I clearly study it every day, and you're hearing crazy stuff on the news. Okay, so all your means use them. And the better you tell this story, the faster the word gets out and the more people that are talking about it. Okay, I have to go. I have a presentation at 9. I will see you guys next week. John, I saw you were going to ask a question. Feel free to email it to me. And I saw your note in the chat. And then I will see you guys later next week for round 2. Thanks for being here.